I'm going to start with the evolution of the NASA satellites. Next slide, please. Overview. So the National Aeronautic and Space Administration, also known as NASA, was established on October 1st, 1958. The launch of Explorer 1 and TRIO series satellites marked the beginning of the U.S. space exploration program. Through numerous advancements, NASA has made significant improvements to satellite technology and space exploration capabilities. All right, so we'll start with early satellites. In 1955, the White House announced the Vanguard project. Its goal was to launch a satellite during the upcoming International Geophysical Year in 1957 to December of 1958. America was caught off guard that year when the Soviet Union launched the first satellite ever, Sputnik 1, on October 4th, 1957. After the Soviets' successful launch, America began a second satellite project, Explorer. The U.S. had two failed launch attempts prior to the success of Explorer 1. This is one of the images of Vanguard 1 when they exploded on the launch pad on December 6, 1957. Early satellite, the Explorer 1. Explorer 1 was America's first successful launch satellite on January 31st, 1958. Nearly half of Explorer's total length of 80.5 inches was used for scientific instrumentation to conduct testing while it orbited the Earth and transmit that information back. The electrical power source required was 40% of the total weight of the rocket at that time. Explorer 1 orbited the Earth 58,000 plus times in 150 days before returning to Earth. The design of Explorer was so iconic that more than 100 subsequent rockets adapted the same design. TRIOs, television and infrared observation satellites. TRIOS 1 was launched April 1st, 1960. It was the first satellite designed to study Earth from space. The TRIOS program its primary mission was to create a weather forecasting system utilizing satellites orbiting Earth. The mission was successful, with TRIOS 1 delivering accurate weather forecasts. By 1962, meteorologists the world over were making forecasts with information provided by the TRIOS system. Slide. ERTS, Earth Resource Technology Satellite. Landsat was launched in July of 1972, followed by 8 additional satellites with that namesake. Satellites are used to take pictures documenting the entire Earth. For over 50 years, Landsats have orbited the Earth. This has allowed researchers to watch the landscape change, whether it's the path of a river or vanishing ice glaciers. The images provide data allowing scientists to better manage and protect natural resources throughout the world. The Voyager program. The Voyager program was initially intended for Voyager 1 and Voyager 2 to study Jupiter and Saturn, along with their moons and their rings, sending back close-up images of the giant planets. The Voyager spacecraft was built to last for 5 years. However, it lasted for over 12 years. Voyager's mission was so successful, it was able to explore all the planets in our whole system, to include dozens of their moons. Voyager 2 launched prior to Voyager 1 on August 20th, 1977, followed with the launch of Voyager 1, September 1977. Over the years, the Voyagers have returned information that has revolutionized the field of planetary astronomy. Next slide. If you can see, there's a little speck in the middle of this picture here. This is an iconic photo. It's the blue dot. It was taken by Voyager 1 in February of 1990 from over 3.7 billion miles away. Navstar, more commonly known as GPS. Navstar 1 launched in February of 1978 as the world's first global positioning satellite system. This technology came from the US and Soviet space race in the 50s as scientists noticed radio signals frequencies increased or decreased in relation to the location of Sputnik. This is known as the Doppler effect. Navstar was the project of the US Air Force. It initially was used only military related. It was only used by the military, such to monitor troop movements and whatever, help with the movement of troops and ships. In 1993, the technology was declassified for commercial airline use. More on Navstar. In 1995, the U.S. GPS system fully came online with the use of 24 satellites. Shortly after the price dropped from over $3,000 for a GPS device to being included in cell phones, cars, now everybody has GPS on them just about at all times. Information from Navstar led to the development and advancement of positioning systems such as Global Nav satellite system. As of 2019, the GPS satellite program is overseen by the U.S. Space Force. Next, Hubble Space Telescope. The Hubble telescope launched in April of 1990. It is a space telescope that orbits the Earth. It faces outward towards the heavens. Hubble used digital cameras to take pictures and send them to Earth via radio waves. Hubble has provided scientists with information on an array of topics, from how planets form to the effects of explosions as stars burn out. Hubble has led scientists to estimate that the universe is 14 billion years old. Further advancements under development currently with NASA. Just a touch of what they're working on, obviously. First, you have electric propulsion rockets. Working towards that, it's going to lower the cost for space flight, up to 90% less fuel required. You got greater speeds and reduced transit times. Also, another satellite that they're currently working on is a composite solar sail system. It's a small robotic spacecraft that would travel without rocket fuel. Basically, it's the satellite, and then it opens up with a big sail, like a sail ship, and then it uses light to create propulsion. Next. In conclusion, although the USSR achieved the first significant milestone in the race for space, the United States has been a global leader in space research and technology advancements over the last 50 years. NASA has consistently driven progress, significantly enhancing global capacity in space exploration and satellite technology. Looking ahead, NASA remains committed to pushing the boundaries on space exploration, aiming for new horizons where the possibilities are endless. There are the references for all of the data that was in my portion of the presentation. Next, we'll be turning over to Greg.
All right, good evening, everybody. Gregory Ferland here. I'll be covering cybersecurity as it applies to NASA satellites. Next slide. A little introduction to cybersecurity and NASA satellites. The importance of cybersecurity was widely recognized with the rapid increase in advancements of technology and cyber threats. Whether or not these satellites are used for civilian scientific research or military use, it remains important that we protect these data or the data that these satellites collect for us so as to ensure that the information is accurate and reliable. Next slide. Landsat 7 was the first known NASA launched satellite that applied cybersecurity practices. The satellite launched in late 1999 and is still in use to monitor environmental changes, land use, land cover, and natural resources. In early 2000, as digital communications and technology grew rapidly, it became more imperative that NASA needed to increase their protection assets in the form of cybersecurity. From 2010 to 2018, NASA officially formalized cybersecurity and implemented encryption and encryption protection into satellite protection. The following are some forms of cyber attack. Think these are relatively simple forms, but try to think of them on a bigger scale as it applies to satellites. So, for example, malware refers to a software that is designed to compromise a specific system. It's more of a virus that is uploaded into the system, causing it not to function properly. So it may be a sketchy link in an email that you've received from an unknown user. And if you were to click on that link, it would open up and install a virus onto your system. Uh, Phishing is a form of cyber attack where a hacker impersonates a certain company or institution to obtain sensitive information and use it to blackmail or sell. Uh, a simpler form of phishing is maybe receiving an email saying that you have won the lottery or you have a dead relative from a country that you've never even been to, and they're trying to collect money from you. So if you are to give money, they're going to see if you actually open up that message or email or text. And if you respond, then they know that you're a person that they want to try to hack or obtain any kind of monetary value from. A denial of service attacks is a type of attack that is used to disrupt a specific function on a system or network, most commonly used to overload a system so that it must shut down or not function properly. And then we have insider threats. Insider threats are an individual or group that works inside an organization, hacking or selling specific information. So this is someone who may work. Oh, sorry. Go back one slide. All right, and NASA satellites used by military
Sorry.
branches.
Hey,
Oh,
I paused it. I paused it. I wasn't able to go back, but yeah, you just keep talking. I
okay,
paused it before you started on this slide.
all good. I'll just continue on. Thank you. NASA satellites are used by military branches. There are many reasons our branches of the military want to protect U.S. satellites. The most common reason is to secure GPS and communications. A lot of our troops heavily rely on accurate GPS tracking and satellite communications. Almost all branches of our military have some form of cybersecurity force that protects U.S. satellites, the main one being the U.S. Space Force, which has now taken over that major role of satellite protection and cybersecurity. The U.S. Space Force and Air Force have significant roles in protecting U.S. satellites from cyber attacks. For example, the U.S. Navy and the Army's new multi domain task force mainly use them as offensive weapons to jam enemy capabilities and find enemy vessels or other satellites. Next slide. Here are some of the references that I used to obtain information that I presented on my slides. Pending any questions, I'll be handing over to John Thomas.
Hey everybody, my name is John Thomas Greenlee. I'm going to be going over the data science portion behind NASA satellites. So for the content we're going to go over, I'm just going to go over a brief introduction of what data science is, the common data science life cycle that's seen with most data science programs or methods, and then I'm going to go over different data science methods and tools. So as an introduction, data science refers to a field in which methods and tools are used to collect, analyze, and reimagine data. I'll be going over a little bit of how they do that later on in the slide. Uh, and data science, what it does is allow scientists to reconstruct data, organize it by special characteristics, and identify hidden patterns within data sets. So the data science life cycle starts with data collection and storage. This initial phase involves collecting data from various sources, such as databases, Excel files, text files, or even real-time data streams. And this type and volume of data collected largely depends on the problem that you're addressing. Next is data preparation, often considered the most time-consuming phase. This phase involves cleaning and transforming the raw data that was collected or stored into a suitable format for analysis. The objective is to create a clean, high-quality data set that can yield accurate and reliable analytical results. Next, I'll be going over exploration and visualization. During this phase, scientists explore the prepared data to understand its patterns, characteristics, and potential anomalies. Techniques like statistical analysis and data visualization summarize the data's main characteristics, often with visual methods. Next, I'm going to be talking about experimentation and prediction. During this phase, data scientists will use machine learning algorithms, which I'll be going over later, and statistical models to identify the patterns, make predictions based on a reconstructed pattern, or discover new insights to look at the data in this phase. The goal here is to derive something significant from the data that aligns with the project's objectives, whether predicting future outcomes, classifying data, or uncovering hidden patterns. Lastly, with the data storytelling and communication, this final phase involves interpreting and communicating the results derived from the analyzed data. And understanding and implementing this life cycle allows for more systematic and successful approach to data science projects. So as for the NASA tools and methods, which, like I said, I was going to explain, first we got compressed sensing. NASA uses this to process signals and images. It's one form of efficiently gathering and compacting data that has been implemented by NASA. This advanced form of collection is done by implementing a series of sampling tests on a degraded, broken, or noisy signal. This can usually reconstruct the signal and predict its future data. Secondly, we have deep learning, and this is a neural network ability used for pattern recognition within data sets and used for data classification. Deep learning involves a process algorithm that is multi-layered and involves different processing levels at each layer. For example, if a machine was to look at a blurry image, the first level would try to process any basic shapes or shadows it could identify. The next level would attempt to provide definitive edges of objects, and the final layer would try to make out facial features, etc. This method is key to NASA as it can identify consistencies in large data sets of hyperspectral imaging and differences in the evolution stages of gas giant stars and other space bodies. Here are some of the references for the explanation of my topics, and I will be passing it on to Ms. Brooks.
Hello, so I'll be talking about NASA satellites and environmental NASA satellites are essential tools in environmental science, providing comprehensive data with that is vital for understanding our planet's health. They monitor everything from atmospheric composition to ocean temperatures, offering real-time data that supports scientific research worldwide. By tracking environmental changes, NASA helps scientists and policymakers develop strategies to address climate change and protect the ecosystem. Next. NASA operates a diverse array of satellites, each tailored for specific environmental monitoring tasks. Earth observing satellites like Landsat capture high resolution images that track land use, forest cover, and urban growth. Weather satellites such as GOES provide vital data for weather forecasting and storm tracking, while oceanographic satellites like Jason 3 measure sea levels, and ocean temperatures. These specialized satellites enhance our understanding of Earth's dynamic environment, making them invaluable for both research and practical applications. Next slide. So, key NASA missions, such as the Landsat program, have been instrumental in providing a continuous global record of Earth's surface, allowing scientists to analyze decades of changes. Aqua and Terra are twin satellites that collect data on the Earth's water and energy cycles, which are crucial for understanding climate change. GPM provides detailed information about global precipitation patterns, which helps in weather prediction and climate modeling. Sentinel-6 is the latest satellite dedicated to measuring global sea levels with unprecedented accuracy, helping us understand the impacts of global warming on our ocean. Next. So satellite launches and its environmental impact. Launching satellites into space is not without environmental costs. Rocket emissions release significant amounts of CO2, water vapor, and black carbon, which contribute to global warming and atmospheric pollution. Additionally, certain rocket propellants damage the ozone layer, which protects the Earth from harmful ultraviolet radiation. Space debris generated from launches also poses a risk to other satellites and the International Space Station. Efforts are underway to reduce these impacts, including the development of green propellants and debris mitigation strategies, but the environmental footprint of space launches remains a significant concern. Next slide. So the environmental benefits of NASA satellites. NASA satellites provide extensive environmental benefits that far outweigh their launch impacts. They collect vital data that helps improve climate models, providing more accurate prediction of further climate conditions. This data is also critical for disaster preparedness, offering early warnings for hurricanes, floods, wildfires, thereby saving lives and resources. Satellites monitor air quality, tracking pollutants that affect human health. They help in the management of natural resources by monitoring deforestation and land use changes, supporting conservation and sustainable development efforts. Next slide. So, reducing the environmental impact of satellites. NASA and other organizations are actively working to minimize the environmental impact of satellite launches. Reusable rockets like SpaceX's Falcon 9 have revolutionized the industry by reducing costs and emissions associated with each launch. Green propellants are being developed to replace traditional high toxic fuels, making launches safer for the environment. The rise of small satellites such as CubeSats also reduces resource consumption and launch energy. Additional active deorbiting and other debris mitigation strategies are crucial in addressing the growing issue of space junk, ensuring a more sustainable approach to space exploration. Next. So the future of NASA satellites and in environmental space is marked by cutting-edge technologies that promise to enhance environmental monitoring capabilities significantly. Hyperspectral imaging will allow satellites to capture data in hundreds of spectral bands, providing detailed insight into vegetation health, water quality, and land use. AI and machine learning will be integrated into data processing, allowing for real-time environmental monitoring and rapid response to emerging conditions. Satellite constellations, which consist of groups of satellites working together, will provide continuous global coverage, enhancing data accuracy and reliability. New climate sensors will offer improved detection for greenhouse gases, crucial for tracking emissions and guiding climate action. Next slide. So case studies, Landsat's impact on deforestation monitoring. Uh, Landsat's impact on environmental management is particularly evident in monitoring of deforestation. The satellite's high-resolution imagery allows scientists to detect illegal logging activities in real time, providing data that supports law enforcement and conservation efforts. This monitoring is essential for protecting vulnerable ecosystems and biodiversity hotspots like the Amazon rainforest. Landsat data is also used to inform reforestation initiatives, helping to guide where efforts are most needed to restore degraded landscapes. By providing detailed, actionable information, Landsat supports global efforts to preserve the planet's remaining forests. Next slide. So, satellite data in climate change research. NASA satellite data is invaluable for climate change research. Satellites like IceSat-2 track dramatic loss of Arctic ice and glacier retreat worldwide, providing evidence of global warming's effects on polar regions. Atmospheric satellites measure concentrations of greenhouse gases, including CO2 and methane, which are key drivers of climate change. Ocean observing satellites detect changes in sea temperatures and heat content, offering insights into how warming waters contribute to extreme weather events like hurricanes. Overall, this data is crucial for understanding how climate change is altering Earth's system, informing both mitigation and adaptation strategies. Next slide. So satellites are essential tools in disaster response, providing timely data that save lives and reduce economic losses. For instance, satellites enable the early detection of hurricanes, allowing authorities to use timely warnings and evacuate at-risk populations. They also provide real-time assessments for damage from wildfires, floods, and earthquakes, helping emergency responders prioritize their efforts and allocate resources effectively. In drought-prone regions, satellite data helps monitoring all moisture levels, guiding water management strategies to mitigate impacts on agriculture. Overall, NASA satellites are key assets in managing and responding to natural disasters. Next slide. NASA satellite data plays a critical role in supporting global environmental policies. For example, it contributes to the UN's Sustainable Development Goals of providing data on climate action, life on land, and clean water. NASA satellites also help monitoring national commitments to the Paris Agreement by tracking greenhouse gas emissions and environmental changes. Collaborative efforts with other space agencies, such as the European Space Agency and Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency, enhance data sharing and ensure global coverage. This information is crucial for policymakers guiding decisions on environmental protection and sustainability. Next slide. NASA faces several challenges in maintaining its satellite missions. One of the most pressing issues is space debris, which poses a significant risk of collision with operational satellites, potentially disabling critical systems. Budget constraints can also affect NASA's ability to fund new missions or upgrade existing satellites, limiting the scope of environmental monitoring. Technological obsolescence means that satellites require regular updates to remain effective, but this is often hampered by financial and logistical constraints. Additionally, geopolitical issues can complicate international collaboration, which are essential for global environmental monitoring and data sharing. Next. So looking ahead, NASA's role in environmental science will only continue to grow, driven by advancements in satellite technology and increasing international collaboration. The development of more sophisticated satellites equipped with AI and advanced sensors will provide unprecedented insights into the Earth's environmental challenges. Enhanced data sharing between countries and agencies will enable a more coordinated response to global issues such as climate change, pollution, and biodiversity loss. As NASA pushes the boundaries of space exploration, a key focus will be on minimizing environmental impacts, ensuring that space remains a sustainable frontier for future explorations. Next slide. If you'd like to know more about the topics that I introduced in this portion of the lesson, here are the references. Feel free to look them up. And thank you for listening.
Yay.